As you get to know the class of 2017, you begin to notice some familiar faces continuously popping up. The senior you're about to meet has cameoed in at least 2 other Senior Spotlight episodes and several more videos we've created this year. We travel to Lincoln High School to meet a mathematical wonder who is amazing his teachers and inspiring his classmates. Before first period at Lincoln High School, Feng is presiding over this Math National Honor Society meeting.
Yesterday I created a Kahoot that just had a couple of their recent AMC 2017-12, AMC 12 2017 questions, and I think I'm just gonna have the people who come take the Kahoot, and then if they don't know the questions, I'll go through them with them. In middle school I was an active participant in math counts, and I really liked that math participation. So when I came into high school, there wasn't really any big math thing, so I decided to start a math club and just to work on math problems. Well, to my surprise, nobody really liked to just sit down and do math, right? So math club eventually disbanded. But then one of my upperclassmen, Dylan Wald, I believe, he came and he spoke to me about creating a Math National Honor Society, and then he took charge of that, and I was like, hey, yeah, this sounds really cool, so I'm just gonna hop on the bandwagon now.
Well, for Math National Honor Society, that is just a national organization that, again, a couple years ago, some exceptional math students began the program. They were interested in creating this at Lincoln High School, and Eric has been able to maintain it for 2 years. And this year, I think we had 75 members of students willing to come before school or after school. Sometimes we work problems. Sometimes we prepare for things like the national math tests or contests at some of our local colleges, or sometimes we just play a game of cards, or we create an origami. So it's just something that takes thinking.
Eric's love of math started early and continues to be strong.
Definitely math counts in middle school. It really incited that initial curiosity in math for me, and also reinforced my self-confidence in my intellectual abilities. Just in general, math has been always that subject for me, where I can go in, I'm confident I can learn it, but at the same time it challenges me. So it's something that has been like a partner for me in education terms, and has allowed me to fully develop my abilities, and it's always there so I can improve my mathematical abilities, but at the same time reinforce that I can solve this. I have the ability to solve this. Don't know what will happen when I reach a math problem that I can't, but I think that optimistic drive that I garner from math will be very fundamental to my future.
His success in math courses means that his first period this semester is actually spent at Augustana University, where Eric is currently taking Calculus 3.
He is not in my class this year. He is actually as a senior in Calc 2 and Calc 3 on the college level. So something like that is, me personally, I didn't do until I was probably a sophomore in college. And Eric's doing the same thing that I did as a senior in high school. Feng was a student of mine as a junior in AP Calculus, and I immediately could see, after 32 years of hundreds and hundreds of math students, that there was something really special about Feng, and I would probably say he's one of my top 3 mathematical students, that he just has an extraordinary depth of understanding of mathematics.
In all that time you're talking?
In all that time.
Wow.
In 32 years, I would say Feng ranks at probably my top 3 students. In the classroom, I think what's wonderful about Eric is he knew what deep questions to ask. He wasn't just satisfied trying to get a good grade. He really wanted to understand what the mathematics meant and how it fit and how it applied. And not all students have that much natural interest to know the real conceptual meaning of mathematics.
Creo que la organización de MAPO.
Second period, Advanced Placement Spanish.
I actually had Eric in level 2 Spanish and then last year in level 4, and he has been a great student the entire time. He is very hardworking. When you think of great students, he does everything. He works hard, he's smart, he is persistent, he's determined to get good grades, and he does all the work in order to do that. So I've known him, this is the 3rd year I've actually had Eric in my class. AP Spanish is the most advanced class that we have at Lincoln, and in order to be a member of the class, students have to have had usually at least 3, if not 4 years of Spanish prior. It's a difficult class, it's college level. Kids have to write persuasive essays, they have to give presentations, they have to be able to compare and contrast. So it is definitely your higher level students, and then to be able to do all that in Spanish. So it's a difficult class, it's very challenging for them.
Spanish was just that thing that I started in 8th grade, and I feel like that by continuing it throughout the years, up to senior year, I would be really able to improve my skill set and be better prepared for the future. And that's why I'm taking AP Spanish right now.
And from there, the rest of his academic day goes like this.
3rd, I have anatomy. 4th is my open lunch, but I go to the learning center anyways because my 5th class is my online Chinese 4. So instead of going to open lunch, now I can have 2 hours of doing Chinese or whatever homework I also need to get done. 6th, I have concert band, and then 7th, I have AP Literature and Composition.
Yes, that was another AP class. Anatomy, concert band, and Chinese 4. Learning 2 languages at an advanced level in high school is not the norm.
No, it's not common. Sometimes I'll have students who have some history with another language, but generally, if they're doing AP Spanish, it's what they've kind of dedicated themselves to. So the fact that Eric is studying Chinese and Spanish and his English is great, I mean, he's talented. He's kind of set himself apart in that.
By graduation day, Eric will have completed 12 AP classes and 2 college classes with Calculus 2 and 3. What does this senior plan to do with this wealth of knowledge?
Right now, I'm focusing on computer science, but just recently I've been shifting back between medicine and computer science, so I'm still debating between which one I really want to go into. The class I took last semester at CTE was PLTW, Project Lead the Way, Medical Interventions. And it was basically about how in current society, it was a watered down version, but of how doctors and epidemiologists track diseases, cure diseases. The reason why I took both medical interventions and anatomy is because at the beginning of the year, I was basically into computer science, but then I wanted to make sure that was true, so I took classes in medicine, which would be medical interventions and anatomy. And I found that it was really interesting, just because of how medicine worked, and now because of that I'm debating between it. So I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll find out in the future.
We told you at the beginning that Eric is not a stranger to our videos. In fact, he was in concert band the same day we recorded Callie Burris, a fellow Lincoln senior with whom Eric shares something else in common.
It was a surprise to get my score back. And actually, it wasn't a perfect ACT score. It was overall composite 36, but then I had 36 in math, science, and I believe reading, but then in 35 but in English it was 35. Other than that, it was reading 35, English 36. So I actually missed that 1 point off. But I was really surprised that I got it. I didn't think that I would be able to score perfectly, especially in the English and the reading sections. So I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least.
Earlier this year, he was invited to a school board meeting to talk about his perfect composite ACT score. This CTE class was with a fellow spotlighted senior, Washington's Jenna Saganos. In elementary school, he attended the Sioux Falls School District's Challenge Center, like Callie and another featured Washington senior, Maham Shah. He was here in December at the 11th annual Project Warm-Up event, volunteering to make blankets for families in need. He's an athlete.
I started cross country in 7th grade, and then 8th grade and 9th grade, all the way to senior year. I was never really one of the better runners on the team, But the community here, especially at Lincoln High School, has been so supportive of everybody on the team, and the teamwork and the camaraderie on the team is just stupendous. I find that whenever I go to cross country, it's always something that I can look forward to, because some of the other stuff might be a grind, but cross country is always that thing that I can always look forward to. It's always refreshing to be able to talk to my partners. It's always relaxing and stress relieving to be able to go on these runs and exercise. And I just really think cross country has been a major good experience for me. It has taught me discipline, because you have to run the entire distance basically without walking. It's taught me pacing, time management, because it takes up a relatively large amount of time during the season. And it's taught me more than ever like the value of teamwork and how working with another person can really improve your ability to work harder and ultimately improve yourself.
He volunteers in the community.
I do volunteer at the local library, Ronning Library, every Sunday in order to shelf DVDs. I've started since actually the beginning of 9th grade year, so it's one of the activities that I've carried throughout, and I did it through summer as well. So it's just that's something that's been really nice to me.
He helps his classmates with schoolwork.
Study Buddies is a program that was started a couple of years ago by a couple of other exceptional mathematical students, and they wanted to just after school help any student with their math or their science or just about anything. It kind of ended up even going towards more helping our ELL population. So that's pretty special that you have the ability to communicate to someone whose language is not the same as yours. And that's all volunteer. That was created by students, and Eric has maintained it.
He participates in international extemporaneous speaking through speech and debate. And oh yeah, back to band.
Yes, I am a 4-year All-Stater. Now we got the results back maybe a month ago. I'm a 4-year All-Stater, and I was in All-State Orchestra for 1 year, but didn't make it this year. So.
Well, I think what's special about Eric is that he's actually multidimensional, that he can really ask the deep questions and want to know the why and the when and the how and connect it all to the sciences. But you know, unlike Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang, one thing special about Eric is I think he has another dimension to him that he's able to communicate. And he can communicate to his peers. He can be a leader of his peers, such as like our Math National Honor Society, and he leads our Study Buddies and our Science Math National Honor Society, and he runs in our cross country, and he plays a clarinet, and all those dimensions to Eric is what really makes him special, not just his mathematical dimension.
Yes, he's very well-rounded. I know he really loves math and computers and such, and there's connections between language and that, and he sees the patterns, and I think that's what helps him become so well-rounded, is that he can see the patterns in language just like they exist in math. But he's also well-rounded in that I know he's in band, and I know he's in cross-country, and I know he helps after school with the Study Buddies. So I just feel like he wants to share what he has, and he loves learning, and he just, you know, he wants others to appreciate and enjoy it as well. So I think that's what kind of sets him apart maybe from other students who just really excel in one area. The best part about Eric is that yes, he's smart and he's hardworking, but he is so kind to everybody in the class. He's always just nice, he's fun, he's funny, he can laugh at himself, he can laugh with the class. I know I've seen him interact with other students, and I've heard about him in other groups. You know, even if he's not the best in whatever, everybody likes being around Eric just because he's so nice. And he's also, he is the one student that is always appreciative of what you do. So he doesn't leave class without saying, "Gracias, señora." He comes to class, he wants to get in as much as he can, and he wants to share what he knows. He's worked hard, he knows a lot, and he's willing to share with others, but in a humble kind way, and kids are attracted to that. I mean, he's just very nice and kind. So I think besides the intelligence that he brings, he just makes people feel comfortable around him.
It's his ease with other people and his sense of humor that actually inspired him to take Chinese 3 and 4.
My parents speak Chinese at home. They also speak a little bit of English, obviously. They speak Chinese and English, but predominantly Chinese because it's just easier for them. And because of that, I can understand Chinese well, but because I speak English back, I don't really have that English or Chinese speaking ability. A couple years back, I went to China with my family, and we were in a train, and I was walking in the aisle, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to me and we start talking. So we talk, and later I leave the conversation, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself because I just held a conversation with a native Chinese person, right? I don't usually have the experience to do this and whatnot. So I leave, and my father comes and he starts talking with the same guy. And now my father comes back, and then he starts just laughing because he states that the first thing that when he talked to this person said was, "I'm sorry that your son is mentally disabled." And this was really funny, and it was funny at the time too, and it's funny now, but this just highlighted to me how my Chinese speaking abilities were really not up to par, which ultimately inspired me to take Chinese 3 and Chinese 4, which I find has been helpful to my development and my skills.
An academic, a musician, an athlete, coupled with his humility and volunteer's heart, perhaps it's no surprise he was voted Mr. LHS his junior year and voted Homecoming King this year.
Feng!
Well, that's when I was really proud for Eric because it really shows that our students respect intelligence, but our student body also realizes that when he is able to be talented in so many fields, you know, a lot of times your homecoming king and queen is someone who has just one specialty group of friends. But Eric has friends in music, friends in cross country, friends in academics, and that well-roundedness also helped him get last year, the Lincoln High School Mr. LHS. So not only was our homecoming king, he was our Mr. LHS. And their part of that is a talent show, and I know he played his clarinet. So there's a community of music people, there's a community of academic students, there's a community of athletic students, and the school should be really proud that they recognize that our student body recognizes it. So even our Pennies and our Sheldons, that's what it reminds me of.
I couldn't have been more pleased to hear that he was homecoming king. I wasn't surprised in that I do think at Lincoln people appreciate kids for lots of different things, and homecoming here, I mean, we love our sports and we do well in sports, but it's not just about sports. And like I said, Eric participates in sports, and yet I think kids love him because of so many other reasons, and chose him because they can see, you know, a person who is dedicated and talented and kind, you know, people like that and are drawn to that. And so it didn't surprise me when I heard that he was king. I was pleased and very happy for him. What I just love about Eric is he's just, you know, he's got a smile on his face, he works hard, he makes others around him smile. He's, like I said, he likes to joke around and have fun. So he sees and can find the balance and he knows the importance of studying, and he knows the importance of good grades, but he can also just find the balance of, you know, we're learning this because, you know, it's going to help us and we grow from this knowledge, and I think he gets that, and I think he can share that with others. So just, you know, he just is an asset in the classroom. Eric exemplifies striving for excellence. He is prepared for every paper. He's prepared for every presentation. He works with all the students in the class. He's a shining star. He's what we want and what we're proud of when we, you know, graduate kids from here.
It seems the feeling is mutual.
I think Lincoln High School is just fosters a really good environment in order to create these high-achieving students There's a really high emphasis on AP curriculum, which ultimately allows the students to improve their thinking ability and intellectual capabilities. And there's also just an entirely supportive culture here. What really drives me, I guess, is just the entire academic experience that I know Lincoln offers, and Lincoln offers that will be supportive to my future. And I just want to get as much of that as possible before I have to move on and move into another community that might not be as supportive, as advanced, as foundational.
Well, that's one thing that's a little scary, is I truly think he should be in the mathematical world, but because he is so multidimensional, he could probably do just about anything because he has talent and interest in all areas. I was probably most happy for Eric when he ended up becoming our school homecoming king. Because to me, that says our student body really understands who Eric is. They really understand how special a person he is to have all of those talents and yet still connect to people. He's very humble. That's why I say it's just an extraordinary sense of maturity to handle that much success and understand that his concern for others is really great. Like, he doesn't think just of himself, especially something like our study buddies. That's really a group of people needing help. And he's just kept that torch going. Wonderful student. These are the joys of teaching.
I can see Eric going wherever Eric wants to go. I think, like I said, in the classroom and academically, he shines and he works so hard. And so any university, any employer is going to love Eric Feng because he is going to work hard, he's fun to be around, he's smart, and yeah, his future is bright. He can go wherever he wants to go.
Right now, Eric hopes to either attend Stanford next fall or possibly a university closer to home, where his numerous advanced placement and college credits will almost certainly mean he'll graduate early and be sharing his talents in new ways.